Welcome to today's podcast, where we're heading back to Austin, Texas, in 1884 to 1885 to unravel one of America's most chilling unsolved mysteries, the Servant Girl Annihilator, also known as the Midnight Assassin. This is the story of an unidentified killer who terrorized the city, leaving behind a legacy of fear and unanswered questions that linger to this day. We'll draw on Skip Hollandsworth's 2000 article Capital Murder in Texas Monthly, his book The Midnight Assassin, and reports from the New York Times, Austin, American Statesman, and other sources. This isn't just a true crime story, it's a snapshot of a divided era with lessons about justice and society. Are you ready? Let's step into the 19th century Austin.
Imagine Austin, Texas in 1884. It's a bustling town of about 14,500 people on the cusp of greatness. The grand pink granite state capitol was under construction. The University of Texas had just opened its doors, and tycoon Jesse Driscoll was set to unveil the elegant Driscoll Hotel. On July 4th, 1885, the city gathered to celebrate, toasting with champagne and dreaming of a bright future. But beneath the glitz, Austin was a city divided. Nearly a third of its residents were black, many of them former slaves, living in neighborhoods like Clarksville or working as domestic servants for white families. Black women, often called servant girls, earned just a third of what white women made, about $6 a week. While Austin was seen as more progressive than many southern cities, racial prejudice was woven into daily life. On the night of December 30th, 1884, a tragic event shook the city. Molly Smith, a 25-year-old black cook working for the William Hall family, was attacked in a small room behind her employer's home. According to the Austin Daily Statesman, she lost her life in a brutal assault, while her boyfriend, Walter Spencer, was seriously injured but survived. Molly's tragedy wasn't just a crime, it exposed the deep inequalities in Austin's society. As Texas Monthly reported, the police initially pointed fingers at the black community, dismissing them as lazy or troublemakers. This bias shaped the investigation, making justice hard to find. Why was such a serious case overlooked simply because the victim was black? After Molly Smith, the killer struck again, turning 1885 into a year of dread. According to the New York Times on December 26, 1885, the attacker primarily targeted black women working as servants, but his bold and unpredictable methods kept everyone on edge. Let's look at a few key cases. Eliza Shelley, a young cook, was attacked on May 6, 1885 at her employer's home on Cypress Street. Irene Cross, a nurse, was targeted on May 22, 1885, suffering severe injuries. Mary Ramey, just 11 years old, was killed on August 30, 1885, alongside an attack on her mother, Rebecca Ramey. This case sparked citywide outrage because of the young victim. Gracie Vance and her boyfriend, Orange Washington, were attacked on September 28, 1885. These incidents left Austin's residents terrified. What made it worse was the killer's ability to vanish without leaving clear clues. As the Midnight Assassin notes, there were no fingerprints, no reliable witnesses, and crime scenes were often disrupted by curious crowds. The terror peaked on Christmas Eve 1885, when the killer targeted two white women, Susan Hancock and Eula Phillips. Susan, described as one of Austin's most refined residents, and Eula, just 17, were attacked at their homes, a mile apart. Per the Austin Daily Statesman, these crimes sent Austin into a full-blown panic. The series of attacks showed the killer's evolving behavior, moving from vulnerable targets to challenging the city's elite. As Texas Monthly pointed out, the police's inability to catch the culprit highlighted the limitations of 19th century investigative methods. Without DNA or forensic analysis, they relied on guesswork and prejudice. And when the attacks stopped after Christmas 1885, it raised a haunting question. Did the killer flee, get caught, or simply stop? Over 400 people were arrested in 1885, but no one was convicted, leaving the case a baffling mystery. According to the New York Times on December 26, 1885, the public saw the killer as a cunning figure consumed by crime. Fun fact, writer O. Henry, who lived in Austin, called the killer the servant girl annihilators in an 1885 letter to a friend. But newspapers of the time often dubbed him the Midnight Assassin. The failure to identify the killer reveals the shortcomings of 19th century policing. As Texas Monthly points out, mass arrests of black individuals and forced confessions reflected deep racial biases. This case leaves us wondering, can justice prevail in a society divided by race and lacking modern investigative tools? The Servant Girl. Annihilator case gripped Austin with fear. According to the Midnight Assassin, residents locked doors early, hired guards, and saloons were forced to close at midnight. Police stepped up patrols, and citizens formed vigilante groups. Some even believed the killer was an escaped patient from the state lunatic asylum, or driven by the full moon, a popular notion at the time. After the Christmas 1885 attacks, the killings stopped, bringing relief to many. But the case left a lasting mark. The Austin American-Statesman in 2000 noted that it led to police reforms in Austin, including hiring more officers and adopting new methods like photographing crime scenes. Texas Monthly also highlighted how the case worsened racial tensions, with the black community unfairly blamed and mistreated. In 2000, Skip Hollandsworth's Texas Monthly article reignited interest in the case, inspiring his 2016 book, The Midnight Assassin. The book not only recounts the story, but also explores how it shaped Austin's history, from improving security to changing how the press covered crime. This case shows how a series of crimes can transform a community. The fear wasn't just from the killer, but from the system's powerlessness. As the New York Times noted in 1885, the lack of technology and societal biases hindered the investigation. The Servant Girl Annihilator case is more than a historical mystery. It's a reminder of what needs to change in society. Texas Monthly highlights how it exposed the unequal treatment of black victims and the police's delays when they were targeted. The Midnight Assassin notes that this was one of America's first recorded serial killing sprees, shaping how we understand psychological crime today. What lessons can we take away? First, justice is impossible in a discriminatory society. Austin's black community faced a double burden: victimhood and blame. Second, the press plays a critical role. Without the Austin Daily Statesman then and Texas Monthly later, this story might have faded away. Finally, the case underscores the need for investigative science. With DNA or modern crime scene analysis, the killer might have been caught. This case reflects issues that still linger: racial inequality, flaws in the justice system, and the need for transparency in investigations. It also shows the power of storytelling. Through Hollandsworth's work, the case was revived, sparking conversations about justice and history. We must keep asking, how can we ensure every victim, regardless of background, is protected by justice? The Servant Girl. Annihilator case is a haunting, heartbreaking story with powerful lessons. The killer vanished, but the quest for justice remains. What do you think? Who might the killer have been? And how can we prevent similar tragedies in the future? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to catch our next episode. See you soon.